Ah, there. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, while you're enjoying the stickers on stream during Sticker Round, finishing up your solo queue placements, drowning in your own snot because it's allergy season, whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Uh, Thank you to all the people who gave me bits and follows and stuff. I don't know what bits are, but I'll take them. I haven't played Mario Galaxy yet. I did get Mario All Stars, so I'm aware that bits are a thing. I just don't know what their use is. But I'll take anything you guys give me for whatever reason. Last week, my voice completely died. I listened back to it, and I sounded pretty disgusting when I was giving my top 10. So my friend Tiger suggested that I eat an apple before I come on and do the podcast. So I did just that. I ate an apple about 30 minutes ago. So if my voice goes out at any point, like it did last week, then my friend Tiger is full of snot, as I am about to be. Today, I'm going to be recapping Low Inc. Duh, that's why you're here. From Swiss to Gamma to Beta to Alpha and everything in between. Afterwards, I will interview members of the winning team Xanadu. By the way, this will be the third time that I've interviewed. Actually, yes, Miss Popgun, that would be awesome. No lie, that would be awesome. Um, this is the third time that I'm going to interview a team that has won Low Inc. in the past 3 months. That's not going to be something that happens forever. That's just because I personally have good relationships with the people that have just been winning since I started doing the podcast. West Broadway Grillers, those are good friends of mine. I actually subbed for them at Genesis 7. So I've met those guys IRL. Luau, Sir Skit has played with us, subbed for my team before in tournaments. I've done a lot of pickup scrims, a lot of league session with those guys. Luau team is just a wholesome, wonderful team to have in this community in general. And Xanadu, I've known Xanadu since October of last year. My team has scrapped with them 4 times. We've won all 4 of those games, by the way. But I've also done a lot of pickups with Lake and Leon. I've been a part of the Xanadu tournament series as like a staff slash commentator kind of role. It just so happens the last 3 teams that won have been teams that I'm cool with. If Last Chance had won, I wouldn't be interviewing them today. Not because I don't like them. I just don't know anything about them. For all I know, they could be super chill, cool people, or they could be annoying 13-year-olds. So I don't really know. So don't expect these interviews every time I recap Low Inc. It's just so happens to be that way. Uh, but first, let's talk about the tourney as a whole. This was the 2-year anniversary tourney, which is a big deal for a monthly tournament in this community. Is there any other monthly tournament, regardless of skill level, that can say that they've been in existence every month for 2 years now? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt anybody else could say that. Even back when Splatoon 1 came out, I couldn't think. Maybe BNS? Maybe BNS? I don't know when they started. But that would be my guess as something else that kind of comes to mind. And this was a really, really good, well-run tourney. Of course, I'm kind of self-serving myself because I helped staff this. But even the other staff members, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree as well, this tourney went very smoothly. And it's scary because with the bigger prize pool, we were worried that it was going to hit the fan at some point. I had concerns. I know other staff members had concerns. And I'm sure a lot of you had concerns as well. That with the $200 prize pool, somebody was going to try to sneak in, and I'm not going to give like any like leak any information or any like behind the scenes stuff. That's not for me to do. That's not what the purpose of this platform is. And the head organizer Hohen is in chat, so I don't want to embarrass him or myself. But I can tell you, without naming names or teams involved, that people did try. They did try to sneak in on this one. A lot of people did try to sneak in on this one. Now, we caught every single one of them. Damn near every single one of them we caught. And we caught them early, and we denied it, and we kept them all out of the tournament. It took a lot. It took a lot of work. You kicked at least 50 people. Oh, you said publicly and help desk kicked at least 50 people. That sounds about right, honestly. But yeah, there were a lot of people trying to sneak in to get that. A lot of that is credit to how hard the staff worked, how much the staff really cares about this, the resources that we have to help kind of track things and find different use different kind of avenues other than just Battlefy to verify certain teams and players and things like that. So all of that was a lot of work, but it resulted in a safe tournament. I mean, this was basically you're hosting a high school football game, and you host it every week. Well, this week the president is coming in to watch, so now you got to beef up security. So we're kind of worried that somebody was going to try to assassinate our president or something, and we kept them safe. So mission accomplished. Oh, actually, there was one Smurf complaint we did receive, wasn't there? Uh, some of you might have saw this, so I'll comment on it briefly. So here's something funny that has kind of happened. So somebody complained, sent a Smurf complaint out, and Hohen got it, and it just kind of delegated to someone, and I was like, I'll do it. I verified like 80% of these teams. I know a good chunk of them. I'll take it. So this person DM'd me, who is going to remain nameless, was like, hey, we found this this guy's got a B rank, and we think that's kind of weird. We think that we might be smurfing, and I was like, okay, well, let me look at it. And they were saying they wasn't on the roster, and I agreed with them for a minute, but then I realized what the problem was. You know how some of you, like, my name might be Popgun, right? But some of you will take your IGN and you'll find like, well, I'm not going to do a P. I'm going to find like a symbol that looks like a P. And then I'm going to get like an O that's got like a slash through it and dots all around it. And then I'm just going to like build my name through that. So if you look really hard and you think about it, it's like, okay, that does look like Popgun. That's what that situation was. It was the actual name. It just didn't look like it because they use symbols instead of letters. So we verified that person. And as far as like a Smurf goes, at that point, the team in question was 0-2, and the team that beat them in round one was Clownfish, and they beat them 3-0. So in Clownfish, not to knock them, but they are a Gamma bracket team. So if you're losing the Clownfish, then you're just a B rank. You're not a Smurf. So I told them, I was like, okay, we verified this person. It's not a Smurf. Thank you for sending it to us. It's best to err on the side of caution, but these guys are fine. Don't worry about it. Round 5 shows up, and these guys went to the suggestion desk and suggested something along the lines of, the staff in this tournament, you need to find staff that actually care about your tournament, and these guys obviously don't care, and you're not putting, and we're just getting told a bunch of different nonsense. And then Hohen was like, what are you talking about? And then someone said, I sent Popgun this Smurf request and he didn't do anything about it. And I was like, oh, hold on. You, first off, you're not going to just sit in here and attack staff for not caring about a tournament after all the things that we do to build this tournament that you don't see about. And second off, you're not going to call me out personally. I mean, I get it kind of comes with the territory. And I mean, I'm doing something like this, right? Eventually I'm going to say something on the Popcast that's going to piss off somebody and they're going to DM me about it. That's fine. That comes with the territory. I understand that's going to be coming eventually. So the staff kind of gave me the leeway to scold them a little bit publicly, and I did. And then I got the sense that maybe I was wrong in like maybe there was some confusion here. So I DM'd the person and I was like, what are you talking about? What player is smurfing that we missed? And they sent me the same player they just sent me. The problem was, and this was round 5, the player they sent me was on a team that was 0-5. Literally the worst team in this tournament. They were complaining was cheating. I couldn't believe it. Now, obviously I realize this is just some dumb 14-year-old who is it amazed me that they took it to such extremes, that they took it to like other they took it to public channel and started biatching about it. And it was like it amazed me that they were so passionate about this team that was 0-5 was smurfing, that was the hill they were going to die on. And I mean, I hate to mention it, but I know a lot of you saw it, so I wanted to mention it at least once. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying a couple of weeks ago about how we deal with TOs, how we give constructive criticism that helps. Low Inc. had a fantastic map list this week. You guys would agree. We don't get there without you guys giving us criticism and constructive feedback. The only way Low Inc. grows is if we get constructive feedback or suggestions. But when you're calling out staff and saying that they don't care about the tournament, that's not a suggestion, that's an accusation. It's a little bit different. And if you're going to accuse somebody publicly, oh boy. But I digress. We got it out of our system. And somebody had a real hate boner for Vincent. All of a sudden, I didn't understand that. Vincent, I could sit here and talk about how wonderful all the staff members are in Low Inc. But Vincent was getting called out by this one dude over and over, and we dealt with it. But like Vincent does so much behind the scenes stuff and deals with so much crap that you guys kind of like bring up in the community. But like a lot of what we do Verifying Way is because of these robots and these things that system have, or the systems that we have in place that Vincent actually programmed and built. I mean, I could go on for all the staff. Obviously, Hoenn and Kraken, who do a fantastic job at head TOing. JPEG, who has to basically walk people through how to deal with Battlefy, because people that play in Low Inc., they might not know anything about how Low Inc. works. So JPEG basically has to teach them how the tournament works in Help Desk. Sky and Grace dealing with all the issues that show up on Battlefy. So, I mean, there's so many different... And I didn't want to mention staff members by name because I'm going to forget somebody important. So maybe I'll just stop right there before I forget anybody else. But regardless, the tournament went really well. And if you need any proof that there were no Smurfs in it, look at this. The team that won the whole tournament, Xanadu. This was their 9th Low Inc. They did it without using a single sub. They used all 5 members that were on their active roster. The team that won Beta Bracket, ITAP, once again, another established Low Inc. team that didn't use the sub. They used their original roster that they've had as far as I can remember. So if there was a team that sneaked in as a Smurf, they did a bad job. they might want to reconsider their how good they actually are, or they might want to just apply with their main accounts and ask for an exemption and be like, hey, we snuck in and we found out that we suck. So can we just be in legally? But I digress. Overall, a good tournament. So let's get into actually talking about the tournament itself. And I'm sorry if I'm not catching up with chat. I can't read and talk at the same time. Blind rage, possibly. I did see some ITAP people in chat. I think it's because they know I'm going to be talking about them at some point. Kind of already did, actually. If you need a thesis for this low ink, if you're just gonna listen to one bit and then check out, and this is the part you need to listen to. Here's the summary. Take out the scripts you had from last month. Cross out Luau, write in Xanadu, and you basically got a gist of what happened here. There are so many similarities between what happened with Xanadu and what happened with Luau that it's almost poetry. Both teams went 5-1 in Swiss, beat Ryzen in losers bracket, beat Last Chance in grand finals, both going 4-1 to force a bracket reset, and then going 4-1 to win the entire tournament. And both Luau and Xanadu did it with a Tetris only player on their roster. So there you go. That's the thesis. But before we get more into grand finals, I told you guys I start this off with an apology for everything I screwed up in my preview. I gave my top 10 teams last week who I thought had a chance to win. And I doubled down and I said nobody outside of the top 10 was going to win. And I was right. In fact, I got the top 3 right, in a sense. I had Ryzen at number 3. They finished at number 3. I had Xanadu at number 2. They've entered grand finals as from the loser side, so I guess you could say that was number 2. And Last Chance I had at number 1. And boy, howdy, did they prove me right as being the number 1 team I should have given. Now, they didn't win. Xanadu beat them, so obviously Xanadu should be over them. But if you look at what Last Chance did in this tournament, which I'll get to in a second, you would agree that they were the number 1 team too. But first off, I don't owe Xanadu an apology. So Lake, don't even ask. I'm not giving you guys one. You deserve to be at the number 2 spot on Monday. Last Chance beat Xanadu in the August tournament, 3-1. So I had Last Chance above Xanadu just off of that. Now, if something had happened in the month leading up to this low ink that would have changed things, then I could have justified putting Xanadu above Last Chance. We didn't see Last Chance really do anything since the last tournament, and we did see Xanadu do something. They won Ash Cup. But they did it with 3 of their players instead of all 5 of them. They had a sub, and even they would agree that the competition they faced in Ash Cup couldn't even come close to the competition that Last Chance would give them. That's not to diss anybody that played in that Ash Cup, and that's not to diminish the Ash Cup championship that Xanadu won. But at the end of the day, Last Chance is a little bit of a different beast than what they saw in Ash Cup. So I think I'm justified in having them above Xanadu. Now, what did Last Chance do in this tournament? Well, something, quite frankly, we don't really see happen in a low ink, and that is total dominance from 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday up until grand finals. Last Chance went undefeated in Swiss, swept their way through the winners bracket, and entering into the grand finals. Check out this stat. This is crazy. Entering into grand finals, this was their per game record. 29 wins, 3 losses. That's it. That is total dominance. Now, what happened that caused them to go 2-8 in grand finals? We'll get to that. But I'm still giving out apologies. I still have one more thing to mention here. Of the 10 teams I listed in my top 10, only 5 played. That's rough. 4 didn't sign up. 1 did sign up, but managed to get themselves banned because they played too good in a tournament leading up to Low Ink. I'm not going to say what team it is, but we looked at what they did in one of the other IPL tourneys, and they were beating like Div 2 team, arguably Div 2 teams if Ludi divisions were updated, and took a game off a team that currently has a Div 2 next to their name. So that was a good indicator that like, okay, these guys have improved a little too much for Low Ink's standards. So they got the boot. Now, I have considered, like, when I do a Low Ink prediction or preview, if I would to bump it up a little bit to like Friday and wait for more people to register. But I'm too lazy to do that. And I think so I'm just going to keep doing them on Mondays, and I'm going to keep doing them with the assumption that certain teams are going to register versus some teams that won't. Well, I'll get some things wrong, but hey, if I can get the top 3 correct every single month, I'm doing something right. I may pat myself on the back. 15 teams signed up in the last 24 hours, yeah. But even some of those teams we didn't let in because they had like no information. And it's like, hey, we can't verify you right before the start, so you're just going to have to sit it out. Sorry. Sign up sooner, people. Sign up sooner. So we're going to start off with Swiss, go through Gamma, Beta, and Alpha, and then we will hit up Xanadu to see what those guys are up to. Swiss, matches of note. I got a couple of them for you here. First off, Last Chance, 2-1 over Geek Squids. This is significant because on Saturday, this was the only time that somebody took a game off of Last Chance. Every other game was a 3-0 sweep by Last Chance. Geek Squids finished 3-3 in this tournament. Not their best result, but this result against Last Chance proves something that I have always been saying about Geek Squids. They play up to the caliber of the opponent they play against, and they also play down to the caliber of the opponent they play against. It doesn't matter who you are going to get a tough fight out of Geek Squids. Whether you should be getting a tough fight out of them or they should be 3-0ing you. Pretty much everything they do is a 2-1. So, credit to Geek Squids, not for beating Last Chance, but for finding a way to actually get a win against them, something nobody else could do. This other match was from round 1. The Bunnies, 2-1 over Ink Kings. This was an amazing result considering how lopsided this matchup is on paper. This should be like a 3-0 for the Bunnies without a second thought. However, Ink Kings found a way to get a win in the very first game. Now, the Bunnies complained there was lag there, but we looked at it and it wasn't. We couldn't really determine that there was anything worth note in that lag request. So that was a straight up win. As far as I can tell, that is a straight up win for Ink Kings. Now, I'm not going to name Ink Kings' record because it wasn't good, and I'm not trying to be negative. But Ink Kings taking a game off the Bunnies is a major thing to kind of the note out here. So Nice win, even though they lost the set ultimately 2-1. The last match of note is pretty much every single match in Group B. My goodness, this was loaded. Group B was absolutely loaded. You could look in every single round in Group B, and there's at least 2 games between Alpha Cut teams. I mean, there's so many like top level after top level team just fighting every single round. It wouldn't be fair to sit here and list them all. I'm definitely gonna go back and look into those when I do my preview for next month, because there were a lot of great matchups that are between Alpha Cut teams that we didn't see in actual Alpha Cut. But yeah, for 2 months in a row, Group B has been an absolute meat grinder for these teams to go through. Fun to watch, not so much fun to play in, but it do be like that, as the kids say. By the way, thank you to the people who are following and hosting and all that stuff. I don't always give shout outs because I don't want to break concentration. But if there is any solace you can take in that, is that it shows up on the screen. So when I post this on YouTube and some schmuck watches this video 10 years from now, they can be like, oh, cool, Hayden followed Popgun at this time. What an amazing thing that is. After Hayden makes it big in the Splatoon community. Winners from Swiss. Now, I'm going to start off with Tooniverse, and that's not just because I'm married to the captain of the team, and I'm not just going to talk about them every single time. But if they do something worth noteworthy, I'm going to talk about it, okay? Get over it. They went 4-2 with their only loss to Alpha Bracket teams, Symphony 1-2, and Access Denied 0-3. So a great result there from Tooniverse. Access Denied. Whoa, these guys took a big step up from what they did last month. They went 4-2. Their only loss was to Alpha Bracket teams, and they took a game off of the Bunnies. So Access Denied, if you remember, were in that absolute juggernaut of a fight against ITAP in the Gamma Bracket finals last month, somehow found a way to get 4 wins and crack into Alpha Bracket. So that's a very impressive and very good result for Access Denied. And well deserved. They did it without Violet, I think, who was a strong player for them last month. So they must have found some new players and found a way to take that next step up. Now, are they going to be a team that's consistently in Alpha Bracket? I have no idea, but I'll talk more about that later. Ink Fluency with an exclamation point at the end of that. So Ink Fluency, 5-1, a nice debut from a new team that we haven't seen before. Only loss was to Last Chance, and a nice 2-1 win over the Bunnies. Now they did, being a new team, we don't normally see this kind of impressive result. I was kind of worried that they were going to win the tournament. They didn't, but they still did really well in Alpha Bracket. Again, something I'll get to later. But just looking at the Swiss results, Ink Fluency really dominated Group A outside of the top team Last Chance, obviously. Ryzen. I don't normally give a winner role in Swiss to a team that finishes third in the entire tournament, but Ryzen did some impressive things here that is worth noting in this section. They went 6-0 in Group B. They tied with the Raccoons and Geek Squids with the highest opponent winning percentage at 69.4%. So they were in the toughest group in this tournament and went undefeated. That's really impressive. That is really impressive to do. So shout out for Team Ryzen for that. Tyrant Inc. 4-2. Only loss came to Team Ryzen's and the Raccoons. That is the Ravenous Raccoons, but alliterations usually throw me off, so I'm just going to call them the Raccoons. They just... Now, Tyrant Inc., these guys were in Group B, and they finished in the 9th spot. They just barely missed making Alpha Bracket, in the tougher group. If these guys were in Group A, they would have had a much better chance of making alpha bracket. I'm not going to like say, oh, they would have got in over a team like this, but they would have had a better opportunity, I think, if they were just in a different group. So finishing ninth for a team like Tyrant Inc. that we haven't really seen in a while is a good result for them. Absolutely. Fluorescent going 4-2. Key wins coming against Eurobeats at 2-1. A nice bounce back from Fluorescent because the last time we saw them in August, they went 2-4. So they found a way over a month to get 2 more wins than what they had last time. Divine Downpour. I did keep an eye on Divine Downpour at some point. CIA, my last winners from Swiss, give me CIA and Twilight Anglers. I announced these two guys because they both went 2-4 last month, failed to qualify for a bracket on Sunday. This time around, went 3-3 and jumped up to beta bracket. Skipped Gamma and went right to beta. Now, we've seen teams do that before, i.e. Tooniverse has done that twice now. But a very nice result and turnaround for CIA and Twilight Anglers. Ugh. All right. Now, 30 minutes already. I'm talking way too much. All right, we're going to go down each bracket, starting off with Gamma. Before I give you my matches and winners of note in the Gamma bracket, it is worth noting that Gamma bracket wasn't going to happen originally. So the idea is that about 50% of the teams will move on to Sunday, which means if you have 16 teams in each bracket, you roughly need about like 90 something to 100 teams to register for it to be worthwhile to have a Gamma bracket. At the time after we kicked out everybody that we thought was cheating, or that was cheating, you were left with about 77 teams. So in theory, you wouldn't have a Gamma bracket because of that, but Lowing staff decided to go ahead and have one anyways, and I'm glad they did. We saw a lot of new teams making Gamma bracket that normally wouldn't. And having that extra experience of playing on Sunday is only going to benefit these teams, which is what Low Inc is about, is helping teams grow from the bottom and moving their way up to the top. So instead of penalizing these teams because not enough teams signed up, Low Inc decided to reward them for signing up by giving them a bracket for them to do this month anyways. Does that mean if we get like 150 teams that we're going to add like a Delta bracket or something like that? I don't know. Is Delta what comes after Gamma? I'm just assuming. Matches of note in the Gamma brackets. DE Leaders 3-1 over Team A. This is a game of note because, surprise, surprise, a number 16 team upset the number 1 team. Going down to a team that technically, DE Leaders as the number 16 seed, as we usually see in Gamma bracket, didn't technically qualify for Sunday. The reason DE Leaders even made it is because some teams dropped and they got moved up, and they were literally the last team to get moved into. What are you talking about, Tofu? What's a foxtrot? They were the last team to get into a Gamma bracket or even qualify for Sunday. So coming in and finding a way to upset the number 1 seed, which again is something we see pretty much every single Low Inc. It's not a surprise, but for DE Leaders, that's a nice win. The other match of note is Team A beating DE Leaders 2-1. That's right. These two teams had a rematch in losers round 4, and that's something we don't always see. We do see rematches, but it's normally like winner final, grand final rematches. We don't normally see when we do see a rematch in the losers bracket, it's usually not a flip of the. It's usually not the losing team getting revenge on the winning team, unless it's like deep into the losers bracket. So this is the first instance I could see where two teams traded off each other in the early portion of the bracket. The winners from the Gamma bracket. I got 3 for you. First off, Team Kensa, not to be confused with Kensa Clan. Team Kensa, this was their first Sunday appearance, at least the first one that I saw. I might be wrong about that. But they didn't disappoint. They beat a veteran Low-Ink team in Refurbished Free Ink, Carbonado, and Uwu, or Owo gang. And they got all of those wins in the losers bracket. So they lost in their winners game and then went on a tear through the losers bracket. You'd love to see stuff like that. Another winner, I got to give it to Team A. I mentioned that they lost in round 1 and then got revenge in losers round 4. But the reason they got revenge in round 4 is because, once again, they went on a tear in the losers bracket, winning 4 straight matches. This could either be easy or difficult to do. Easy from the fact that you now don't have to win a best of 5. You just have to win a best of 3. So you don't have to win 3 games. You just got to win 2 now. But difficult from the fact that your back's against the wall the entire time. And you have to deal with the pressure of knowing that if you lose 1 game or you lose 1 match, you're done. And the last team I'm giving the winner to is Amnesia, or Amnesia Nouveau, because I assume they use the sub or 2. Not just because they finished 3rd and fell 1 game short of winning winter finals, but for what they did on Saturday as well, taking a game off of Persistence and Squid Row, both teams that made Alpha Cut. So congratulations to Amnesia/Amnesia Nouveau. Hopefully we can see more of these guys in the future with their normal roster, or at least what I'm assuming is their normal roster. Grand finals in this one. 404 Error versus Divine Downpour. This went in 404's favor, winning 4-0. This is a surprising result. Believe it or not, this is actually a really surprising result, considering that these two teams played in the winners bracket earlier, and Error only won 3-2. So here's how Low-Ink usually works, right? When two teams meet again in grand finals, and it's a rematch from a game that was really close in 3-2, normally what we see is the team like the Divine Downpour coming in as the confident team or the hungry team playing the sometimes overconfident team that we usually see out of 404 Error. And what happens is we almost always see a bracket reset, and then we almost always see the loser team upending the winner bracket team. We almost always see the team that lost in the beginning win the entire bracket. I've talked about that so much because it happens across every single bracket, every single month. It happened twice this month. But I think 404 Error might actually listen to the podcast and realized, oh, hey, we can't take these guys lightly. We have to come in and we need to make a statement right off the bat. And boy, howdy, did they ever. 4-0 after a 3-2 win. So that's an impressive win for 404 Error. For Divine Downpour, it's nice to see them play in the Gamma bracket. It's nice to see that they went as far as they did in the grand finals. I don't know what actually happened in this set, but it does sound like they were at least competitive with 404 Error earlier in the tournament. Now, what you have at the end of your tank at the end of like a 3 or 4 day tournament, completely up in the air, but still, it's nice to see. It's nice to see 404 Error win, not because I know them personally or anything like that, but just for the fact that we finally have a team in the winner's side of these grand finals actually do it where they're supposed to do, which is win, and win in convincing fashion. You're throwing winners to win grand finals. I mean, that's what you guys did. don't don't come at me, Kami. Uh, Beta bracket, and this is the one you guys actually care about. Matches of note: Ink Titans 3-2 over the Krusty Crew. Why am I mentioning this? Well, you know, it's because the number 16 seed just beat the number 1 seed in round 1. What? Why does this keep happening? I can explain, actually. Actually, I can explain why it keeps happening. For 2 reasons. One, seeding doesn't matter in this. It really doesn't. It's not, the seeding is based off of basically tiebreakers from your opponent win percentage. Basically, everybody in beta is either 4-2 or 3-3. Usually we see if there's more teams, usually you have to be 4-2 to make it into beta. There's usually no 3-3 teams, but so your opponent win percentage is what decides the tiebreaker. So it's not like number 1 is like way above the number 16 seed. No, they got the same record. They just played different people. The other reason is because in round 1, the way it is set up, you play a team that was in the opposite group from you. So you're going to be playing a team that you haven't played against yet and didn't play any of the same opponents you played against. So there's those 2 factors alone creates this wide variety of parity in all the brackets that we see in Low Ink. But why is it always the number 16 seed beating the number 1 seed? Is it because, I wonder if it's because the number 1 seed is usually thinking, I don't want to be here. I want to be in the bracket above me. Like, man, we were 1 spot away from making alpha bracket. I don't want to be playing in beta. And then they show up versus the other team, the number 16 seed, that's like, yes, we made this bracket. Like, we were so close to being in the bracket right below us, but we made it here. I wonder if that's the same kind of dynamic that we see in grand finals. I bet you that's probably the case for some of these teams. I don't know Ink Titans or the Krusty Crew to like verify if that was the case or the mindset with both teams going into it, but I mean, we see it every single month. We saw it twice in this month. We certainly see it basically every month in Alpha Bracket, except for this one. Other matches of note. Alloptic 3-2 over Geek Squids. Just knowing these 2 teams, this looked like a fun set. I would love to see a VOD of this just because we've seen a lot of these 2 teams in other tournaments. Ash Cup, Little Squid League, if those 2 teams aren't already banned from it. So this looks like a good set between 2 established Low Ink teams. So it'd be cool to kind of see. And it was a really close match as well. ITAP versus Eurobeats, 3-1. I don't know the history between these 2 teams. I'm sure there is. And I don't mean history like they hate each other. I mean history like how many times have they played each other in other tournaments and Low Ink combined, like their overall record. I don't know if you guys keep track of that stuff. I do. I've keep track of everything my team has ever done in a tournament. I could tell you, pull up exact records of like how many games I played against certain teams and our overall record against them and stuff like that. If any team listening to this, if you do have stuff like that and you want to share it, send it my way, because I am a geek squid for those kinds of number stuff. I love those kinds of number stuff. I know ITAP and Eurobeats scrimmed each other earlier in this week. I couldn't care less about that. How well you do in a scrim means diddly poo to anything that's actually relevant. Scrims are usually just practice. You're experimenting with some other stuff. Tournaments are when you actually flip the switch. And ITAP flipped the switch right here with a 3-1 win. My last match of note, Alloptic versus ITAP, 3-1. And this is interesting to me because Alloptic, or excuse me, Eurobeats is Alloptic's kryptonite. Eurobeats has beaten Alloptic 3-0 in Ash Cup, 2-1 in Swiss of this tournament, and then 2-1 in losers bracket of this tournament. So Eurobeats is usually always beating Alloptic, or has beat Alloptic 3 matches in a row, whereas ITAP has beat Eurobeats twice in the losers in the brackets, in the beta bracket. They beat them in winners and then beat them in losers. So it's really there's this really interesting triangle going on here. One team beats the other but can't beat the other team, so they need the other team to play to knock that team out so that they can advance. It's a weird circle of suck, I guess you could say. But that is what it is. I'm going to keep an eye on those kind of particular matchups going forward because I think that's pretty cool. My winners from beta bracket. I don't know how many of these because this goes across a couple of pages here. I think I just got 3. The deep fried octolings are definitely a winner. I have known these guys were good without ever actually seeing VODs of them. I just knew they were good just because of how consistently good their results are in tournaments like Low Ink and Xanadu tournament and Ash Cup, etc., etc. And I've never actually get to see these guys, but they keep doing things that catch my attention. And it's good that they finally got some recognition here. They got wins against Tooniverse, Tyrant Inc., and Alloptic. All 3-0 winners against those teams. And their only losses coming against iTapped and Ink Dragons, the team that finished second, first, and second. So, attaboy there, deep squids, or deep fried octolings. Excuse me. The deep fried octolings. We got to get these guys on stream at some point. Eurobeats. I always give these guys the winner role here, but in reality, they keep doing new things to earn it. They beat Geek Squids, Ink Titans, Prestige Mercenaries, who I think just now go by Prestige Mercenaries without the D, and Alloptic again before losing to ITAP. Okay, look, Geek Squids is another team that beat ITAP in this tournament that Eurobeats knocked out. So Eurobeats knocked out Geek Squids and Alloptic in losers bracket so that they could be the sacrificial lamb to ITAP so they go on. ITAP owes Eurobeats dinner for knocking out all of the teams that they have struggled against in this tournament. That is so crazy. Eurobeats deserves a little bit of that beta bracket trophy. Like, just break off one of the handles and give it to them as like a thank you for what they did there. And I don't need that. The last winner I have from beta bracket. Give me the Twilight Anglers. They won 2 matches in losers bracket. They did lose in round 1, but winning 2 games in losers bracket is significant because the only teams that beat them, once again, ITAP and Ink Dragons, the number 1 and 2 team. So maybe they should play the refurbished free ink to see which one among those is the true number 3 seed in beta. The Popcast. Scrims are when you go try hard. Tournaments are when you chill. Tournaments are when you chill. Kami, what we saw from you last week is you being chill. My goodness. I guess that makes sense. I guess there's like a logic to that, where it's like you make the practices harder than what the game actually is, or than what the tournament actually is, so the tournament's a little more chill. But if my team scrims 4 times a week, if my scrims were that stressful, I wouldn't last much longer. I need my scrims to be chill so that I don't have a heart attack 4 times a week. Chill with what you learned. I get what you're saying. Grand finals of beta bracket. My goodness, ITAP. Can you guys just calm down? My goodness, ITAP versus the Inked Dragons, and this is a typical low ink ITAP grand finals. Uh, ITAP coming in, forcing a bracket reset 4-2, and then winning the whole tournament 4-3 against Ink Dragons, the team that got into grand finals on the winner side. I mean, I make it sound boring because we've seen it happen over and over and over again. But in reality, it's just as exciting as it always is. It came down to a crazy game 7 where they took lead, where ITAP took the lead in the final closing seconds. Really took the lead in one push in Rainmaker and main stage. Uh, and man, what a difference a week makes for ITAP. After getting upset by hardcore noobs in Little Squid League 2 weekends ago, choked as they said they choked. I don't know if I would agree with that. Um, but their performance in this game 7 was the exact opposite of that. That was clutch. I didn't get to watch this full set. They were talking about how amazing the set was on stream. I just saw game 6 and 7 um, of this one of the finals after IPL rated Mizuno. Um, I, I don't have time to go back and watch everything. After it ended, after I was done commentating on Sunday with Stu the announcer, that guy's awesome, by the way. After I got done commentating that, like I watched the last 2 games and it's like, okay, I got to go hang out with my wife. I got to watch some football. This morning I got to go to work. I don't really have time to like sit in and watch those things, but from what I heard, it was a really good set, worth watching. Uh, I, I, I wonder how the raid kind of affected them. I'm sure it had to at some point. You're used to kind of streaming with like what 5 to 10 people watching, maybe 15 or 20 if you're doing really well. And then all of a sudden you get rated by 80 people. so I wonder what Mizuno's max numbers were there. Because that was I wonder if that added a lot of stress to it. It certainly isn't something you just look at and oh cool, I bet 100 people are watching whatever. No, that's got to be a little bit of stress, and it's got to be stress that the Ink Dragons don't get the feel because they weren't streaming it. Now that's not anybody's fault. If you deal with stress, don't stream your team stuff. But it obviously the game 6 we saw, all of us saw, ITAP looked flat as all get out. But then turned it around in game 7 when it actually mattered. For Inked Dragons, this is still a good result. They finished third last month in beta, and now they're in second. So they're consistently trending in the right direction. For ITAP, they won Gamma last month, now winning beta. The obvious question or elephant in the room is, are they ready to take the next step to winning Alpha? The answer is no, they're not. Are they ready to be in my top 10 teams? I don't even think it's fair to say that. Let me kind of explain. And let me tell you the group of or the category that ITAP deserves to be in now. There are 2 types of alpha bracket teams, right? First one is the Blue Bloods. These teams are going to be in no matter what. Like they sign up and it's like, do we really need these guys to play on Saturday? We know they're gonna make top cut. Let's just do a blind draw and see what their seed is, because that's all that really matters. I'm talking about teams like Persistence, Avalanche, Last Chance, Ryzen, Xanadu, Revitalize, Squid Knights, uh, a bunch of other teams that are probably slipping my mind. You could probably put Squid Row in that category now. You got to put Influency in that category now. So these teams are going to soak up a lot of the alpha bracket spots, and it's like some sort of gatekeeping in a sense of like nobody can move up until these teams either get banned or they win low ink and get banned outright, or they just don't register. Then you got this other group of teams that just kind of take turns bouncing around from alpha back down to beta, and they just like, okay, this is your month. You guys go up and play with these monsters. We'll go test out beta and maybe win beta or something like that. The teams in this group, you got to think Symphony, Geek Squid, Splatter Swim, Ancient Dragons, Aloptic, Sea Boys, Sea Boys. You got to put Access Denied in this group now. They made Alpha Bracket. You got to put Red Sun in there. This is now the group that ITAP is entering into. This team where sometimes it's going to work out and they're going to get 5 wins and they're going to go to Alpha. But there's still going to be times where they're going to be stuck in beta bracket. And that's just how this tournament is going to work. Look at it like this. 5 teams of my top 10 didn't register. If they did, that's 5 spots in alpha bracket that are automatically no longer up for grabs. So you think there's going to be a lot of teams that would just get immediately bumped down if those teams were to sign up. So for these teams in the second group that I mentioned that just keep trading around, until one of them are consistently getting 5 wins in low ink, I can't put them in the top 10. I just can't. Now, could ITAP get there in a couple of months? Absolutely. Absolutely. The ITAP has demanded our respect at this point. They're no longer just this is a cute college team that we don't really get to see. It's really nice to see them damn, these guys are pretty good. And these guys are getting better at a scary rate. Like, these guys are getting better at too good of a rate. So they're commanding our respect. But don't overhype it. Don't overthink it. We're not going to bump them up into the top tier category. Look at it like this. Splatter Swim, 1 beta bracket. The next month, they still made beta bracket. Winning beta means nothing in the grand scheme. The only thing it means is that I get to talk about you more than what I do from Access Denied. Because Access Denied actually made alpha bracket, but didn't do anything significant for me to actually go on a big rant about them like I am right now. So there you go. It's already been an hour. My goodness. Xanadu, if you're still here, just wait. Just chill. We have no practice in 2 months. Yeah, that's rough. I think one of the reasons why we haven't had a lot of teams sign up this month over last month is school starting back up. I know a couple of college guys on my team are... we've seen them be less active, and we encourage them to be less active because we're a big enough team to get by with people kind of taking weeks or a couple of weeks off or whatever, or work or whatever. So, except for you, Tofu, you seem to do well in college, so suck it up. We're going to see you here every night until you get your wisdom teeth taken out. Alpha bracket. Matches of note. Number 16 seed Revitalize, playing the number 1 seed Last Chance. You guys already know how this worked out. Last Chance won 3-0. Wait, what? What? The number 1 seed beat the number 16 in Alpha Bracket? And did it in a commanding fashion, 3-0? How did this happen? This shouldn't be happening. This has all the makings of being a trap game, right? It's not like you're playing some number 16 team like, you're playing Revitalize. Revitalize has made more top cuts than any team in low ink history. More than anybody at 9. You're playing one of the most established low ink teams of all time, round 1, in a game where you're coming in and we usually see the 16 beat the 1. And Last Chance didn't fall for the trap. They actually won the game. That is so amazing. It shouldn't be, but I shouldn't be talking about a number 1 team beating the number 16 3-0. But it is impressive. Believe it or not, it is impressive. Other matches of note: Symphony 3-1 over Squid Row. This is significant because Squid Row won game 1 in dominant fashion. Then Symphony woke up and won the next 3. This match was on stream. This was a really good match. Symphony, as I mentioned before, they're one of those teams that kind of bounces around. We'll make alpha this time. We'll make beta next time. So it's good to see them get into alpha and do some damage, especially on stream. So nice win there for Symphony. The Bunnies 3-2 over the Ravenous Raccoons. I called this one the Critter Clash. We didn't get to see this actual game. It did drag on for a little bit, but it is noteworthy as being one of the few 3-2 matchups that we saw in the winner's bracket. And it went in favor of the Bunnies. The other match of note, and I don't normally talk about the losers finals in this section, but you got to, Xanadu beating Team Ryzen 3-0. This is significant because if you listen to the commentary on the grand finals, that was me and Stu, by the way, I said that Team Ryzen had a 5-0 overall record against Xanadu. I was wrong. They actually played in Swiss as well. Ryzen had an 8-0 overall record against Xanadu. And Xanadu wins this one 3-0. How? I don't understand how. I watched it happen right in front of my face. I even said then, I don't understand how this happened. We're going to talk to Xanadu in a minute, maybe longer if I keep rambling. But that's going to be one of the things I'm going to figure out. How can you beat a team that has absolutely dominated you, but when it actually matters in losers finals, you flip the switch and now you're the dominant team? How? That makes absolutely no sense. That's the beauty of low ink, I guess. My winners from Swiss or from Alpha Brackets, I got 3 of them. Squid Row. These guys have been missing in action for a while now. They sign up for every low ink and then drop the day of. So I didn't really know what to expect out of these guys. I know they underwent a little bit of a rebuild after they made playoffs in Ludi Div 5 last season, so I didn't know what we were going to see out of them, but they didn't really disappoint. Of course, they lost in round 1 to Symphony, but then went on to beat both Persistence and Revitalize. 2 teams that I mentioned are blue blood low ink teams that are automatic to make alpha bracket every time they sign up. And both of those were upsets, in my opinion. So a strong showing and the whole weekend for Squid Row. Vinto, not to be confused with Vinto Gaming. These guys looked really good early on, making it to winners semis after losing. And then okay, so they won 1 game in winners. No, they won 2 matches in winners, and then they won 1 more in losers. Finished 4th with their only loss coming against the 1st and 3rd place team. So it's understandable that they would finish 4th, and a good finish there for Vinto. My last winner, once again, Ink Fluency with an exclamation mark. So Ink Fluency started off the day with a tough 3-2 loss to Vinto, then went on a 3 straight match winning streak in losers bracket, beating Access Denied, Symphony, and the pickup team. No, the pickup team weren't Smurfs. We verified each player on the pickup team. They were legit. Now, Grand Finals. Xanadu versus Last Chance. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, which feels like forever ago now, Last Chance was 29-3 heading into this Grand Finals. They beat Xanadu 3-1 last month. But despite all of that, Xana gonna do what Xana gonna do. And they won every single game basically without top fragging. If you go back and look at the actual the in-game stats of each game, you would have thought that Last Chance won every single game. Xanadu put on an absolute clinic of how you are supposed to win games versus how you're just supposed to beat your opponent into the ground and drive up the stat sheet. Because the kills didn't matter. Xanadu was dying often enough, but they never got wiped at any critical time. and Xanadu was getting the wipes when they needed them. They were winning games with just one push. They would get one really good push, and they would wait for their opportunity to get that one really good push, and that's all they needed to win. It's amazing because we don't really see teams win like that. And I don't know if Xanadu was able to figure out a way to win like that, or if it was just dumb luck, or they knew when to strike, right? Versus when Last Chance didn't. Um, so yeah, winning 8-2, forcing a bracket reset again for Low Inc, not a surprise, but for a team like Last Chance, a team that has been as dominant as they were up until this point, a team that has been in grand finals before, a really surprising result out of Xanadu. I'll be the first to admit, after Xanadu beat Team Ryzen, I was like, okay, cool. This is nice that Xanadu's in here, but there's no way they're going to win this one. I was sitting there in the back of my mind as I was commentating, like, there's no way they can find a way to do it. And they did it in such dominant fashion. It's crazy. And for Xanadu, I'm really happy Xanadu won. Not because I like them, because they're nice people. But this is the type of team you would want to win the biggest Low Inc prize pool. Xanadu is a team that has been in 9 Low Incs. Their first one back in October. And they've grown from the bottom of the pack all the way up here to the top. Xanadu is a total success story of how every team in this community should look to grow as a team without having to do too much roster change over versus what we normally see is a team disbanding and then, oh, let's just join a new team with a bunch of other players from other teams that quit. And then we'll just make this new super team of losers, and then we'll disband in 2 months and do it all over again. Nah, Xanadu said, piss on that, dude. We're going full force. We're going to stay together. We're going to grind. And that's exactly the type of team you want to win these Low Incs. So my hat's off to them, but not for too long because I don't want to show off my bald spot as often as I need to. For Last Chance, there's no beating around the bush here. This is a letdown for them. It has to be. It has to be nothing but a letdown for them. With how dominant they beat up on everyone else this weekend, I don't know if they're allowed, and I don't know if they'll be allowed back, to be honest with you. I mean, with how dominant they were, 29-3, they might have played themselves out. That's not my decision to make. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did get banned just off of how well they played in this tournament. But this is twice now that we've seen them get upset in grand finals 2 months in a row as the losing team. They are 4-16 in grand final games. That is crazy. Against 2 teams, Luau and Xanadu, that they've beaten really well in the past. This is probably the best team in Low Inc that never won it. Which is more credit to what Xanadu and Luau were able to pull off against them. And I hate to be negative, but I mean, there's just no silver lining there. That's tough for Last Chance. Hopefully we can see more of these guys in the future, if not Low Inc in other tournaments. Hopefully maybe they do get another chance to come back in Low Inc and get some redemption. And that would be a great redemption story. It'd be nice to see them come from the losers bracket, knowing what it is like to be the pressure team in the winners bracket, having to hold off the hotter team in losers. But again, the story here is not the team that lost. The story here is the team that won. So congratulations to Xanadu. Speaking of which, let's go talk to those dudes. I need to set some things up. I need to drink some water. I need to breathe as well. So I'm going to take like a 5-minute break to get all this up. We will be back with the members of the winning team of Low Inc in Xanadu. You are listening to the Popcast. Oh no, Lake K's not here. Well, regardless of that, welcome in to the Popcast. The winning team, by their own admission, they just said they should not have won this tournament. So the winning team, quote unquote, Xanadu. Hello, guys. How are you guys doing today? And who are you all? Start from the top, I guess. Yeah, yeah. The foil. Hold on. Time out. Time out. Time out. Time out. They don't hear you. Let me. I must have fixed. I must have broke something. This happened last time too. I have desktop audio all the way up. Default from speakers. It's probably because I have new headphones. Okay, now you guys talk.
All
Hello.
right, cool.
There we
Hello.
go. Okay,
Test.
you guys, this should be. I got new headphones, and that threw off everything, so the idea had to go through there. Okay, welcome into the
Nice.
Popcast, the fake winners of Low Ink, Xanadu.
Oops.
Go ahead, one more time.
Okay, I'm Wiltsy. I'm the one that was playing the weird roller nobody plays.
I'm Hayden. I played K-Shot majority of the time, and I think I played like one game with Brella, and I stood on tower.
I'm Leo, or
Nice.
Leon. I'm the one who mostly played Bamboo and a bit of Explosion.
I'm Lincoln, and I also play mainly Tetris during the tournament. Actually, always Tetris.
Yeah, I think you only played Tetris
Yeah.
that tournament.
Yeah.
I'm Frosh, aka Matt, the pseudo quote unquote captain of the team, I suppose.
Frosh, my first question is for you. My wife recently bought a thing called a frother, and what that is that you put milk in a cup and then you froth it up.
I know
What is? And I thought of you this morning when I heard the word froth. Where does the word frosh come from?
So the actual origin of the word is German. It translates roughly to frog. I originally got the name. I had an obsession when I was little with something called Bakugan. If anyone knows what that is,
I love that.
didn't.
I love those
Oh
things.
yes, I
They're
know.
great.
Yeah, a session in the early 2000s. And so it had an anime that correlated with it, and that's something I really enjoyed when I was little. And one of my favorite characters was a big frog named Frosh, and so that's where my name comes from.
What
No
about
cap. I had that one.
what about Xanadu? Where does Xanadu come from? What is that from the movie?
No, it is not. The movie was
Okay.
obviously named after us.
Yeah, did you know about the movie when you came up with the name?
No, I did not. I didn't even know it existed until after the name and people started pointing it out. Yeah, the name, like, I don't know. When we were first we first got Wiltsy, and we were just discussing the team name, tossing around ideas. I was googling random words, right? And so type into Google, and the subtext here is an idealized place of great or idyllic magnificence and beauty. And the subtext there is three architects and a planner combined to create a Xanadu. And so it's just, I don't know, like four people were involved in the definition, and I don't know, it stuck. I really like the name, so I just kind of brought it up, and everyone was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll make that our name. Why not?" Like,
Matt,
nobody really.
do you realize we have more than 4 people on the team?
Well, now we do, but we didn't before.
Now you do.
So you need to change your name to something else that 6 people or 5 people then make. I guess
We need a
should say.
rebrand.
6 people can make a Xanadu.
It's 5 ado.
Five-a-do, five-a-do, that would work. What is the
Yes.
origins of Xanadu? When did you guys start? What was your team looking like when you first started off?
So, in the summer of last year, I had met Leke online through one of my IRL friends, and he was running like a little tournament server. Nothing much was happening there, but I just, I'd play with him a little bit, and I approached him. I'm like, "Hey, you want to start a team?" And he thought it was a good idea. And so he has two brothers whose tags are Icy and Yotois. I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah, that was the initial roster team. Was me, Leke, and his two brothers, and so we did that for a little while, just playing League and whatnot, trying our best to learn call outs and whatnot, and then eventually I met Wiltsy through the SRB2 dude server. And she was discussing about the game. She seemed like she knew what she was talking about. So I approached her and I'm like, hey, you want to join the team? And she's like, oh yeah, sure. Nope,
Yeah, I was still like S+ and level 60 and whatnot. I got taken in solely by sounding like I knew what I was doing.
It worked out for you guys eventually. I remember Wiltsy, the first time my team played against you, I streamed it. And you DM'd me asking if you could use my team stream for like a VOD review for your guys' team. And that's when I was like, oh, okay. There's somebody actually. That was my first time realizing VOD reviews were actually a thing to do. So that was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Obviously, the thing that actually got me interested in competitive Splatoon wasn't actually the individual play, but the team play. So like that kind of strategy and team comp aspect is something I've been interested in from the beginning.
Well, I'll definitely get into that later because you guys did some interesting stuff, especially in the grand finals there. Why are you guys still a team and you're not? Why haven't you disbanded yet? You know, when a team it doesn't do good, they're supposed to disband. So why haven't you guys disbanded yet?
I mean, we don't really have a reason to. I did have to take a short break during the summer because I had some other stuff going on, but for the most part, we've just been content.
And we did, whenever we needed to get new members, it did take a while for us to find Hayden. But when I joined, for me joining was like a good, like, I don't know, boost.
Well, yeah, I saw you play Bamboo. I was just like, we want a Bamboo.
Pretty much.
Like I just specifically wanted a Bamboo when I saw you play Bamboo. I was like, oh, he's good. Let's take him.
Yes, it's usually how these things works. I mean, that makes sense too.
Yeah, we were actually looking for a frontliner, but like when you get a good Bamboo, it's just like, yes.
So you guys won Ash Cup without your strategist Wiltsy. What do you guys kind of take away from that Ash Cup tournament? And that, I guess that question is directed at the ones who actually played in that.
So I would say the main, like the important set for us in that tournament, as I'm sure most people would agree, was the set against Splat Force, even though it wasn't like the final.
Right.
And we've talked about or you've talked about even the counter picks. That was pretty cool. I think I was the one who suggested Black Belly Clams first. Also, for those who don't know, yes, I'm taking credit. I'm taking the credit.
That was all me, my big brain.
I don't know about that. But anyway, so Splat Force has this charger, Avril, if you don't know Splat Force. And
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to, I guess we were kind of struggling. I think the map right before was Inkblot Zones, their counter pick, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so we wanted to take, the charger out / play. We actually didn't know that you were required to choose Clan Blitz because the other modes had already been exhausted at first. We wanted to go to like Skipper something. I don't remember exactly what. Skipper Zones, maybe?
Probably Skipper Zones. That's like our go-to counter.
Yeah. But after being told we couldn't do that, like Black Belly was the one that popped out to me when I looked at the Clams map.
But Black Belly is obviously the smarter pick, especially for that kind of situation. So the rules kind of helped you guys out a little bit there in that situation.
Yeah, I would agree.
Lake, you played in that one, correct? What did you kind of take away from that tourney?
I guess like same thing going against Spot Force. I didn't really have to focus hard on them, especially because since they had a charger for the first two games, right? It's Spot Sounds, and I forgot whatever the first map was. Because that charger was actually giving me a tough time. to actually like get picks against their own team. So I kind of felt useless during the whole set, well, mostly the set. So the third set when we picked Black Belly, that really helped me because the charger.
Yeah, the
That was
Charger
really
was
good.
out of the picture.
Yes. That is that sounds about right for Splat Force. I mean, Avril is not that this is going to turn into the Avril praise podcast, but yeah, she's obviously a really good player. And Splat Force in general is a team that has improved a lot recently as well. Let's shift back to Low Ink. Frosh, what do you remember about your first Low Ink that Xanadu played in?
So around like when we were starting, actually competing in tournaments, we were mostly doing, well, besides low ink, like I believe our first tournament was like a double limb. I'm not sure whether it was Ash or a
Yeah,
Cephalopod
I
Central, I
disagree
think it
because I'm
was.
pretty sure that was like a week after Lowing, but they were around the same time.
Well,
Yeah,
whatever.
we,
Like we
we
would
can't
go
remember
like
for
0 and
sure.
2. We were going like 0 and 2 in every double limb tournament we were
Yeah.
entering at that time. Like, and so low ink just, I don't know, like when it came to low link, like the format really helped us as far as Swiss bracket and just getting that experience.
Yeah, it gets you a lot of
Uh,
practice against a bunch of different teams. And you don't get kicked out
Yeah.
after losing 2 sets.
Yeah, that is true. Um, did you guys know that you've played in 8 Low Inks?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But over that time, is there any like team opponent that sticks out to you that like when you went up against them, you were like, oh, that gets you more excited than any other opponent? Like who is your Low Ink rival? Would you say?
I feel like it's kind of changed. I feel like we haven't really had one rival. It kind of changes as we go along.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the teams that did challenge us in like the earlier parts of this year weren't really returning. Well, obviously the winners didn't return, but
Yeah.
some other teams that were beating us too either disbanded, especially like right after the Ludi season ended. A bunch of teams disbanded or whatever around that time. But I mean, I would say like the most memorable is just Last Chance and Rising, the recent ones.
Yeah, that's pretty recent. That was also such a hard thing because their comp is something we didn't really deal with very well. I'm gonna leave that for later.
Well, speaking of Team Ryzen, did you guys know that you were 0 and 8 against them heading into that match?
Yep.
I remember losing
Yep,
a lot.
yep.
How? Okay. Well, we didn't get to see those games, so just on paper, it looks like those guys were the better team. So, like, what? How did you beat them 3-0? I guess that question is for Wiltsy, since you're the
Yeah.
claiming to be the mastermind behind this. What happened there?
Uh-huh.
So this is something that's true for not just Ryzen but also Last Chance. Both of them ran these really strong sort of mid-range comps where they had the not and the heavy. Both teams had not heavy. And they had this very strong controlling comp that really punishes any mistake you make. And so we had a lot of times, I think not only is it a good strategy that does well in general, but it specifically kind of dealt with some of the issues I think we had as a team where we'd often have people commit too early and go down. Then we have 3 people going up, trying to push in against 4, things like that. So what we really had to do was just not necessarily play more passive, but we had to be much more careful about how we played aggressive. And so that's something we've been trying to work on since like the first time we lost against Ryzen. But it's something that didn't really come together until the end of Low Ink. But it's something we've been trying to work on and try to figure out how to beat that kind of team comp and work out our issues to beat that kind of team comp for the entire time we've known that team.
I've talked a lot on the podcast about how the mindset of a team in a loser's bracket going into a grand finals versus the mindset of a team that is coming in from the winner side that's supposed to be there. And I've said the team in the loser's bracket is more at more liberty to play loose and without pressure or stress because they're supposed to lose. Would you guys say that you well, let's start with Hayden. We haven't heard Hayden in a bit. Did you feel like you felt any stress going into the grand finals, or any pressure or any nerves or anything like that?
Oh, definitely. I think I would say that it's even greater than, in my experience, it's even greater than being the winner in grand finals, because when you're in grand finals, you feel that you have this kind of safety net of bracket reset. So if you lose this, you're going to have another chance. Whereas if you're in losers, if you make mistakes, if you lose games, that could be the end of you. So I think it's a lot more stressful when you're trying to make it back from losers finals.
That's interesting. I guess I mean that makes a lot of sense. But um, what about Frosh? What do you think there? What were your mindset going into grand finals?
Gosh, going into grands, I mean, as soon as we beat Ryzen, like I was really confident because like it's the same thing, right? Like not heavy. We were practically facing a very similar like comp, very similar
Yes.
team than what we had just swept. And regardless, I mean, that's the best we had done out of every low ink we had participated in. Second place, I mean, I would have been content with that if I were being honest. But yeah, I mean, I felt no pressure going into grands.
And the story about Xanadu has always been has been about Leon and Lake K Sky. Not that they're like they're the players that make the headlines for Xanadu. It's the same with
yeah.
my team. When you think of Destiny troops, you think of Z and Tofu, because those are the two that light up the stat sheet, even though they might not be the main reasons why we win. So, how for Leon and Lake, how were you guys feeling during this grand finals where you guys were finding ways to win games even though you two weren't like blowing up the stat sheets like we're normally used to seeing? So I guess we'll start with Leon there.
So I would say that with Bamboo, you would think that I do have like in a one-on-one matchup against the not in the heavy, especially the Tetra, obviously. But you would think that the Bamboo has the advantage, but I was not. I was struggling against the heavy specifically. So I think actually I got much better at it as we played those teams more. Like obviously we struggled against them round one, and for like the same reasons that we struggled against them in the past. But somehow we changed it around in losers finals and in grand finals. And I think like I got more of the important picks, I guess you would say, and not necessarily getting a lot of them, which I guess is the case for pretty much everybody.
And Lake K Sky, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, at first, before Lowing Day 2, I asked Kami, who's also top player on the WoW, for advice, because since his team has already gone against Last Chance, so he basically has a feel of how go against them. So I asked like how he dealt with their not in heavy comp, and so I took a bit of his advice and used it in both the Ryzen and Luau game, or not Luau, Last Chance game, yeah. And I mean, I felt almost useless still, but I somehow did something, somehow survived.
Yeah, you did what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, just to be a distraction.
Yeah, it might not have felt good, but you did what you're supposed to do.
What who was the mastermind behind determining who would play and who would sit out? Was that you, Wiltsy?
No, it's more of like a individual basis, because we usually almost always we want both Leke and Leo, because that's pretty much what we build our comp around. We want to focus on the Tetra Bamboo. Everything comes down to how well it works with those two weapons, or whatever Leo flexes to. But so it pretty much came down to like the other three of us, which ones of us were the best suited for that map and mode, and it's kind of just based on how we individually felt about the maps. Where it's like maybe I had a map I didn't feel as comfortable on, I'd sit that one out. Like I'm not gonna play Flings on Albacore.
Okay, you say Flingza is a weird pick. I guess. I mean, since it got buffed, it's not the
Yeah.
most out there kind of thing. I mean, we've seen some higher level teams bust it out.
I've seen experimented with, but I don't think I've seen anyone stick with it.
Well, we saw somebody win low ink with it now. I guess
Yeah.
winning low ink with Tetras seems to be a requirement now at this point. I mean, Last Chance is a Tetra team, Luau. Obviously, you guys, the Crusaders were a Tetras team, and they were one of the more well known low ink teams when they played. Is there some sort of like Tetra? You mentioned like that Kami gave you advice. Is there some sort of like Tetra fraternity house that you guys all hang out within and like share tips with each other or something?
Kind of feels like it.
Yeah, they don't let the rest of the team in though.
Rip. When you guys, and this is for everyone. We'll start at the top and go down. When you think back to this low ink, give me the moment you realized that your team was going to win, and give me like the most memorable moment that you had in this tournament. Like, what's the one thing you'll think of when you think back to this low ink? I guess we'll start with Wiltsy here.
Yeah. So I mean, the obvious thing to me about what gave us the feeling we could win was actually beating Ryzen in the losers. It's pretty much we had kind of Ryzen and Last Chance grouped together because they had a similar strategy, and it felt like that strategy is what we struggled against. So once we knew we could beat Ryzen, we're just like, oh, we can beat Last Chance too. They run the same strategy. Now we know how to deal with it. But as far as individual moments, I actually felt really good about the Humpback Rainmaker game at the end, where I feel like I did a lot of things right personally, and it felt good for me individually, even if it's just me specifically.
Yeah, that's a good example of a game where you guys just make one push and that's all you needed.
Yeah.
Versus
I mean,
everything.
defense, there were multiple times I was able to just flank the Rainmaker because they didn't know where I was.
Right. Hayden, what about you? When did you realize you're going to win? Most memorable moment?
I wouldn't say that there wasn't a time where I 100% thought we were going to win, but if it was anywhere, it was after we beat Ryzen, because that gave like a huge confidence ego boost. So it's like we got this, we can totally beat Last Chance. So I think that's the peak moment of, thinking we're going to win. And most memorable moment, it's hard to recall. I don't know if I didn't have one, but I can't think of individual. Like I can't think of an individual moment where I just did really well in.
Well, let me ask you this. I watched a little bit of your stream. At the end, as soon as you guys won on Mako Mart, you immediately flipped to the stream of the IPL stream. Was there something you were looking for there? Or you just kind of see like the reaction of everybody going crazy.
Oh yeah,
that you guys
I
found a
was
way to
looking
win?
at the reaction there.
Yeah, it was.
Wanted to see that.
That was pretty crazy. Leon.
So, I mean, I would generally agree that after we beat Ryzen, it was like a big boost in confidence. But I think especially after we beat Last Chance 4-1 in the grand finals before we got the bracket reset, that was the time where I was like, okay, we're gonna win this, and we're gonna. I mean, we dominated over them pretty much in the grand finals, and even in bracket reset, the only game we lost was by 3 points, I think. So, yeah. As far as the most memorable moment for me, I think it's pretty funny actually, because it was the only game on Schellendorf TC. It's the only game that I didn't play not Explo or Bamboo, where I played 96. Yep. Yeah. And that was like a really, really good game for me somehow. Even though I hadn't really played the 96 that much. We were actually discussing right before that game if I wanted to even play that map at all, because in the past, I'm not a big fan of Schellendorf. Obviously, I don't like Bamboo on there at all. I don't play Bamboo at all. And usually I play either CDS or 96. But we decided that range would help against the not heavy, and that decision paid off.
Yeah, and that was the first game you guys beat Ryzen. Like you were,
yep.
That was so. And that's I guess that's just the boost you guys
needed to get
past
that might have been the turning point.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lakeski.
I would also say, yeah, when we beat Ryzen, since we already knew both Last Chance and Ryzen had the sort of same strategy, having 9 heavy. Um, a most memorable moment during the link, I would say, is, yeah, same thing, Tower Control Schellendorf. When I first gone against them, because, like, because during Lowing Day 2, I came back around, I think, round 3, was it? Because I was gone for round 2 and 1. So when I got against Ryzen, I felt confident going against them because like I knew what I need to do. Need to just be a distraction, not give their 9 heavy easy picks. So I did pretty well against them, I would say. For myself, yeah.
And then Frosh. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to disappoint, but it's also the Ryzen game.
Well, I mean, it makes
more
sense.
specifically,
It's not yeah.
well, yeah, but like I don't know, it's kind of, it must suck to get the same answer 5 times. I mean, more specifically though, the game 2 on a Zone Sturgeon, like the fact that we just locked them out and just KO'd so quickly, like that was like, oh my gosh, we can actually just win the whole thing.
So there's a funny story for that. So I don't know if you watched the stream or not, but Discord was kind of screwing it up during the set. So like me and Stu, we really didn't get to see that game at all. But when the picture came back for us, you guys had already won, and we're like, "Whoa, what the hell happened here? What this?" So yeah, that was impressive.
It was incredibly dominant, yeah. And just from there, yeah, it was easy pickings, I think.
Yeah, I do think like sometime during the tournament we did have a moment where most of us couldn't hear or weren't in the VC or something, and
yeah,
so that was an issue.
It was Humpback. That was Humpback.
Humpback Rainmaker, like
Humpback
half
for
the
sure.
game I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, Discord went. It either went out or dropped to like 50% for a lot of people. It was really weird because like sometimes I couldn't hear Stu, or we just couldn't see anything on screen. So it was like, well, poo for me. I'm not the one actually playing in this, so that must have been frustrating. I'm sure Last Chance was dealing with it too, unless they did the Nintendo voice chat or whatever.
I think that was the first time I pressed the this way button in a tournament.
This way, yeah. That works. It's just become solo queue at that point. Just instincts. So Frosh, what I always talk to teams. I ask them what they do with the prize money. They always say they're just gonna commission an art piece because it's $40. You guys got some actual walking around money though. What's the plan with the prize money now?
I mean, personally, I just kind of pocketed my share, but I think the plan is to get a small commission of some kind. I don't know. We didn't really play. I don't think we really played thinking like, oh my gosh, we're playing. We need this prize money. Like that wasn't really the point, you know.
Yeah.
Like we'd done 9 at that point or 8 before then. Like we weren't playing for the prize money. We were playing to win. And that was that was the primary goal.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the prize money.
I didn't forget. I was like, we gotta get this money.
Get that green. You can now say, if any of your parents or any of your family members are like, "Why are you playing that video game?" You can say, "I won $200 playing this before." So, and Kami or not Kami. Why did I call you Kamis? Because he just said something in chat. Frosh, one last question. What's next for Xanadu? What's the next goal here?
You know, it's funny because like 5-10 minutes at the grand finals, we were talking, and we were like, oh well, wait, what are we gonna do now? Like we've been playing in Lowing for so long. We generally think as to what we're gonna do afterwards. I mean, you'll definitely see us in more IPL events, surely. Maybe a couple double in tourneys, SMC, etc. I don't know.
I imagine we'll do Ludi when that comes around again.
Yeah, I think one of our already standing goals was at least Div 3.
Yeah, we wanted Div 3
season.
That's what every Lowing team that I've interviewed has said. It is, in all seriousness, if you want to win Lowing, that's kind of the mindset that you need to have. You need to have the mindset that we're too good to be in low ink. So we're going to win it and prove that we're a Div 3 plus team now. So
Yeah.
that this doesn't surprise me. You guys would shoot for something like that. This went way longer than I thought it would be. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to do this. I know you got school and work schedules to go with this. I mean this with full sincerity. I really enjoy you guys. I think you guys are really wholesome. I think we need more teams like Xanadu in the community. And I feel like you guys are a good role model for a lot of these teams that are finishing in Gamma and below that are looking like, well, should we disband or try to just add more players? Well, no, if you actually stay together and grow and work, you can win low ink with the people you're already playing with right now. So thank you for being good role models in the community, and good luck in the future. But if you play my team, we're gonna beat you. We're gonna beat you senseless. So how about that?
Well,
Thank you very
Sure.
much for having
we'll
me.
see. We'll see about that.
That was Xanadu, the winning team from Low Ink. The one thing I took away from that is I'm amazed that Kami. Not that I'm amazed that Kami gave out advice, but it's interesting to me that a team is trying to figure out how do we beat Last Chance. Well, let's reach out to this Tetra player on the other team and get advice from them on how to beat them. So it's really cool to see that teams are sharing information with each other, how to beat other teams, and that teams are kind of helping each other kind of grow in that sense. That's great. You love to see stuff like that. This is the longest episode of the Popcast I have ever done, and my wife has said about 20 messages up that dinner is ready. So we're going to go, let's go bug Sigurd, raid him real quick. Thank you guys for watching. If next week I am going to be covering the Little Squid League, which got bumped up. And then I'm going to be interviewing Magic 8 Ball, getting his thoughts on a lot of things in the community, the CCA, the College Cephalopod Association, that he is the co-founder of with Mizuno of ITAP, and probably ask him some questions about ITAP as well. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about next week. If you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing or reach out to me for any reason, you can follow me on Twitch at Popgun25, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitter at Mr_Popgun, at Discord at Popgun #5882. I no longer save these on Twitch. I directly export them to YouTube because I keep forgetting to highlight them on Twitch, and I don't really care. If you want to watch a VOD that I already got, go to YouTube for that at Popgun, at 25Popgun. Wear a mask, you morons. Do you people not breathe through your nose? Do you guys never sneeze? This isn't going to end until you wear a mask and cover your entire face. Please. Please.